What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Bridging the Gap podcast. Now, before this podcast actually begins, I just want to say that I started recording this podcast before, I clicked the record button before we officially started the podcast. So I listened to it from start to finish, so before the actual moment of starting the podcast, and it was too good to miss out, so I just left it in. So everything you're about to hear is what I recorded from start to finish. There's some funny bits before and after, and an all-round good podcast. So thank you, guys. I hope you guys enjoy it. Let me know your feedback as always. See you soon.
Is it working?
It's working.
Did you get many questions?
Yeah, I got quite a few actually. So what I wanted to do, what I'm gonna do is eventually once I can pick up steam with this, I'm gonna get guests on. I'm gonna do a little quick fire round of questions, little yes no answers, little do you prefer that, do you prefer this. And then delve into a few topics that I want to talk about with you. We can just rant about whatever, and then get into specific questions just to you. It shouldn't take a crazy long time, but I think it'd be cool nevertheless. So I'll just you ready?
I am ready.
Cool. I'll introduce and then we'll go straight into it.
Sister. Red lorry, yellow lorry.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the Bridging the Gap podcast. Today is a very, very special day. This is the most demanding thing I've ever had in my life. Tmcycles is on the podcast. He's here. You guys, if you guys don't know him, I don't know where you've been. Tom is one of the big names in the industry. He is one of the best boys on the list, and it's an honor to have you on here, mate. Thank you for coming on.
I love that. I love you.
So, guys, what I wanted to do with this is, as I have a guest on, I'm going to introduce you to them just like we did, and then we're going to go through a little quick fire round just to get to know Tom. What's he like? What things does he prefer in life? And then we're going to go into a little bit of a conversation, and we can just go from there. So, Mr. Moore,
yes,
you can just literally, I'm going to give you two options, and you pick your favourite of the options.
Okay.
Morning or evening?
Morning.
Starter or dessert?
Dessert.
Oh. Breakfast or dinner?
Breakfast.
Dumbbells or machines?
Dumbbells.
Fingers for toes or toes for fingers?
Toes for fingers.
Would you rather fight 100 ant-sized horses or one horse-sized ant?
One horse-sized ant.
Good option, good choice. Test or tren?
Tren, Jesus.
Training on your own or training with someone?
Training with Josh Bridgman.
Good answer. That's the answer I was looking for. King's Gym or Muscle Works Gym?
King's Gym.
All day, every day.
All day.
JP or Hollingshead?
Hollingshead, my boy.
Yeah, the boy. Sweet, man. That's all I had for now. I like those. Good answers.
I'm sweating.
Me too. Good answers. Cool. So, I got a few little topics I'm just going to delve into. First one, how was Ibiza, man? I've never been, and I've seen what you got up to, and it looks unbelievable. Yeah,
it was the best experience of my life so far.
Yeah.
The come down on the last day was horrific.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. What was that like? Because I've heard stories of friends going there and getting on that little bender, and then they've had weeks. They've just been what's going on?
It was odd experience. I was very, very low. So we landed on the Saturday night, went out Sunday, dropped, Monday, dropped, absolutely fine. We went to Pasha, then DC10. The last night we went to Ocean, so we was drinking all day, and then we went to Ushuaia, and then we got on it again at Pasha, and oh good God, it went really badly downhill.
Really?
And it's mad because I'm not a person that sort of would think I would suffer from being low or have depression.
That's what I'm like as well, yeah.
But for a good 3 days, Elle was worried. My relationship was on the rocks. I didn't want to do bodybuilding anymore. I didn't want to work. It is horrendous.
Wow.
It's not a joke. But you snap out of it. You snap out of it because you're mentally strong. But it's tough. It is really tough.
That's mental, because obviously whenever I've gone out, I've had the little something's a bit up here. I'm just a little bit. I'm not low. I'm just a bit neutral rather than up.
Yeah,
so that must have been crazy to actually be low. I've had one of my friends. He went out. He did 4 days straight, every single day. Whatever it was, 2-3 pills a night, And he literally, the day he got back, he went straight to hospital. It was like, there's something wrong. Like, something's not feeling like it normally does. And it's just like, that concept's mental.
Yeah, you can check. There's this thing called pill report where you can check the actual pill that you're taking.
Oh, yeah, I think I've heard of this.
And it will do a breakdown of the MDMA dosage. It's surreal. But then what happened was we took these ones on I think it was the Wednesday, and then we went on the pill report, and then it said 7 deaths so far this year.
Fucking hell.
Oh, Jesus Christ. So always look before, and always half, and then you'll be fine.
I feel like Ibiza is just one of those places, like, it's a culmination of, especially as you came out of like a comp prep as well, like it's a combination of everything that you were missing in that comp prep, you know. So then to go to that ultimate high, to just like coming back home and realizing that actually nothing's changed, it's just, I can imagine that's a big kick in the nuts.
Yeah, I'm going back out for closing, so October 5th for 5 days.
I might have to join you. I need to get
out. I mean, I'm going with Elle, but then I said to any of the boys and all the girls, come out if you want, because you've got Elro closing, you've got Pasho, you've got Solomon, so
mate,
it's got to be done. Do you know what I mean? We only live. It's a very short life that we live, and we must live it to the full potential.
Somewhere I've never been, but I need to go. What a way to start a podcast, by the way.
No one else does that though. Hey. No one else has this.
Yeah, exactly. You just say how it is. It's the way it's got to be.
People want to listen to real life shit. So
yeah, it's true, man. So like touching on like the whole like going to Ibiza, like finding that balance after your compression. Like I've noticed, I don't know if this is you as well, but like the kind of, I feel like there's obviously like levels of who's in the fitness industry and who's like, you know, you got like the echelons where Guzman and all the top YouTubers are in, and then, you know, a little bit lower all the top bodybuilders, and then probably where we are kind of just upcoming, trying to find the balance between bodybuilding but also lifestyle as well. But I've kind of noticed, and I'm not going to call no names out right now, that kind of like hardcore approach of what JP's obviously been preaching is being adopted by a lot of like young bodybuilders. And I just wondered, do you think that the balance of kind of enjoying life as well, because it's so easy to get succumbed by bodybuilding, but do you find that the balance is kind of being upset in towards that hardcore thing because of like the whole JP movement and everything?
100%. And it's out of all of the things you could mug them off, I think it's sad. I think it's sad that a massive part of their life now is being completely wholeheartedly dedicated to bodybuilding. And look, I have no problem with that. If that's the life they want to lead, then lead it. But what I feel that's rubbing off on people now is that they're having sort of little digs at individuals who don't. So, for example, I have the balance for me. I feel it's perfect. I'll go out maybe twice a month, and I'll still have my head in the gym, and I will still compete. So it must be a horrible feeling. Imagine if I go to Ibiza, I take recreational drugs, I have a good time, and I turn up to a show and still win it over someone who lives, sleeps, and breathes it. Like I said, I have no problem with those people. Yeah. But I think it's upsetting, and the worst thing that can happen is if you are however many years of age when you do pass away, and you're looking at the ceiling and going, oh, fuck, I wish I did that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because they're young. The guys that we're talking about, don't mention any names, but they're young.
Yeah.
And these are the times in your life, you know, 20s to 30s. You've got to live it. But if they're happy doing that, then they're happy doing that. I'm happy doing what I'm doing. So that's my stance on the situation.
I think that's the important thing there. Like, you're doing what you're doing, they're doing what they're doing, and I think it's not a problem until it crosses over into I'm doing this, you should be doing this. You know, like, why aren't you doing this? You're not going to win if you like. No, like that doesn't compute. Like, there's no reason why what your vibe is crosses over with my vibe, because, you know, each to their own vibe. No. I just wanted to touch on it just because, like, I feel like so many people look up to these people and they admire them and they want to be like them, and I think they will come back later in life and be like, fucking hell, like, just to lift a little bit of weights. And don't get me wrong, like, I love it, and it is my life right now, and I put everything into it while finding the balance. And I think actually finding the balance helps me in bodybuilding, you know,
of course,
just for like mental stress and anxieties, all those kind of things. But when I see kids saying, I'm never going to take my hoodie off even though it's 29 degrees,
it's good, it needs to be touched up. Yeah, like, what is that? I don't know what's going on at the moment, where there's this like realm of people that feel that they need to live up to some certain expectation to be a hardcore bodybuilder.
Yeah.
Take your fucking hoodie off. It's hot. There's no, like, it doesn't matter. But then it gets put into, oh, it's the mental health issues, it's the self. But then it's like, is it really, or do you just really want to be that guy?
Yeah.
Do you just want to be known for that guy that wears his hoodie and that takes his Tupperware? So I saw people the other day putting posts up about food over the World Cup football. It's like England's on. Yeah. You can eat before or after. What's wrong
once
with
in a lifetime? You know.
You're not getting. You're not going to get any existential respect for not watching football and eating food.
Yeah.
If anything, you look pathetic. So
for sure.
Like I said, it's perfectly summed up by you. It's when they cross into our territory and start slagging us off. Like, I see quite a few people saying, "Oh, I see these people. They shouldn't do that because they've got the potential to be something." Maybe I have got the potential to be Mr. Olympia, but I don't give a fuck. I'd rather go and have a good time whilst bodybuilding.
Yeah. Exactly.
So that's just how the things sit.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the mindset it's got to be, and I think to anyone listening out there that maybe you've been like lured in by this mindset of like all or nothing, hardcore will never die. Like hardcore might never die, but you do. You know, like it's all going to come to an end one day. You're going to be able to sit back on that deathbed and say, you know, those days when I was the fittest, strongest, healthiest, mentally most sound. Did you really spend all that time just bodybuilding, or like did you do other things, explore the world, you know, experience culture, all that kind of stuff? So I just wanted to bring it up because I know we're super on the same wavelength on that, and I think that a lot of kids are getting drawn into it. Kids who are going to listen to this podcast that are getting drawn into it and thinking this is the only way. But I tell you what, in the least arrogant way, like me and you have both made some serious gains while you know, chilling out and relaxing and doing what we want. So I'd argue it's not going to hinder your progress.
No,
at all, really, as long as you've got the balance there.
Cool. Could the gains have been more if we did dedicate it? Possibly. But
we'll never know.
At the disadvantage of not going out and seeing the boys, not going on holidays, not experiencing new cultures, new people, new food, new religions, I'd rather take this life any day.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. Something I want to move into is just like obviously with the balance aspect of it. Like I've always been in relationships. I know you've been with Elle for a long time. And being on the pursuit that you are in terms of like your personal goals, your business goals, also your bodybuilding goals, of course. Like how has having a relationship affected that? And then we can go into like a little bit like your prep and everything. Did that like affect things? Because I know for me, prep was a motherfucker. Especially as like my girlfriend at the time, she was on prep.
Of course.
And it was definitely a motherfucker. I realised that a lot of it is to do with your own self, your own mind, and how you can control the environment. But just to get your opinion on that, it's just something that I'd like to hear about.
Same as you, tough. It's hard. There's no denying it's hard. The key for me during the prep was time management. Yeah. You know, juggling a business, working for Luke here as well, and juggling this as well as my own social media content. You see yourself. You find yourself 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night on your laptop when you turn and your girlfriend's there watching telly, and you think, "What am I doing?" Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So there is sacrifices that need to be made, and they understand that. And as soon as the girls understand that, that's absolutely fine. Yeah. But it's tough, and leave it and finishing the show and getting, and I think not many people touch upon it, but especially being in a relationship on social media when you are in very good condition, it's, and I'm really not ashamed to say it, your head gets turned. Yeah. In the sense that you're young, you've got this sort of big following that's been increased, you've got individuals messaging all the time. It's very hard to mentally go, right, hold on, I'm in a relationship here. Yeah. This is what I've got, and I think as a generation in a whole, and this whole Love Island thing, everyone's heads turn so easily because we all think that the grass is greener, and nine times out of 10 it's not. So there's a massive part in which you really have to rein yourself in and have a big conversation. But prep's hard with a girlfriend, prep's hard without a girlfriend. But I'm certain 100% that it's definitely harder with a girlfriend. 100%.
Yeah, completely. Perhaps one of those things that you go into that warrior mode that we were talking about, that everyone's applying to their entire life, not just necessarily prep. And I think like you illustrated the balance very, very nice there. You know, like you hear from what Tom said, like when prep's on, it's on. You know, like that's it. Once it's over, okay, then the things slip in that we can go out at the weekends and all that kind of stuff. So just tying back to that earlier appointment, like it's just earlier point. It's just balance. Just not losing your head in the game, not losing your head.
No.
Too many fucking people losing their heads.
They do.
Sweet, man. So like just a few questions, and then obviously we can like talk off those, easy peasy. Just because, of course, the niche is like steroids. There are going to be a few steroid questions, of course, and I think it'd be very helpful for people. Probably going to hear questions you've answered a million times, but it'd be good for people to hear. First cycle, like what can you expect? Like what's going to happen if I put this substance in my body?
It's very dependent on where you stand as an individual for training experience. So someone who's had no training experience and takes gear is still going to see an increase in strength and size, but the side effects that are going to come alongside that are significant. Whereas someone like yourself, who were to take exactly the same cycle as maybe an individual who hasn't trained, you're going to reap the benefits far more. You will see huge increases in strength. You'll see huge increases in size. Your body will respond better. Your body's almost at your stage. Your body's almost crying out for this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, because in terms of like plateaus and strength and overall composition, your body's like fucking. Do you know what I mean? If I want to progress this next stage, but you'll see, even with minimal dosaging, like the studies done on 300 milligrams compared to 600 milligrams of testosterone, the layoff point for like side effects and the quote unquote gains is almost not worth it. So it's always very beneficial to start low. It's like with everything. It's like with every drug. Start low, assess your tolerance, and increase from there. But strength, I gained about 8 kilos of lean mass, like 12 kilos of overall mass, like some fat on my first cycle. And then I'll still gain that in like a bulking phase. If I do a blast, I'll go, you know, balls deep and really gain a significant amount of size. And it's all dependent on what you take. Again, drugs can harden you up, they can dry you out. Some will consume and gain a lot more water, which some people don't mind because additional water can therefore mean, you know, a lead to an increase in extra strength. But yeah, it's all dependent on the goal, on the drug. But overall, strength and size is the main two. Yeah
for sure. I was wondering your opinion on this. So let's say like I've made the decision, like that's it, I'm gonna get on gear, like I want to do it, I want to be whatever, I've made that decision in my life, this is happening now. Are you of the opinion that you should go on, obviously starting at low doses, doing everything properly, and then come fully off? Or would you say, because I've made that decision and because like this is what I want to fucking do now, like I want to be the best in the world, do you think that the best course would be to blast and cruise straight off the bat?
100% stay on.
Yeah.
Alex Kikau made a very good point about it as well. If you make the decision to come on and you're potentially putting yourself at a disadvantage hormonally and you make that jump, then stay on.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're an individual that, I only think that blasting and cruising should be implemented for competitors.
Yeah.
But I also think that anabolic steroids should be used for competitors. So for the average Joe that's going to Ibiza twice or once a year that takes anabolics, cycle on and off. You know, I mean, I wouldn't even recommend it. You don't need it, but I know everyone is of this age now where we want to experiment. But for those individuals that are in the position where they're not competing and they're not getting to sub 10% body fat, do yourself a favor, hormonally look after yourself. Look after that endocrine system, cycle on and off, get your bloods done, implement HCG when it's needed. But for us guys that are in this sphere, in this bodybuilding world, blast and cruise, because we don't want periods of time where we're going to crash, and we don't want, you know, 4 to 6 weeks, 2 or 3 times a year where we're potentially at a disadvantage, where someone is cruising and gaining and we're at a loss. So
absolutely. And then on your blast and cruise now, so you competed, you did Ibiza. Was that the last of your blast then? Yeah,
so I stopped I think it was 2 weeks before or 1 week before Ibiza, went into a cruise. And I've been on the cruise for the past 5 weeks now, and still gaining. So
what were you on? What were you on versus what you're on now?
I was on, I was on quite a potent mix after the show, because I was really trying to experiment in this deficit phase.
Yeah.
So I was running injectable Clen, injectable Yohimbine, and injectable L-carnitine. It's called Helios. And it was crazy. It's like spot reduction. You inject it into the area with stubborn body fat.
Nice.
It's far more effective in terms of metabolism compared to an oral, obviously, because it's not bypassing the liver.
Yeah.
And my condition just went from nowhere. Like obviously I was more conditioned in Ibiza than show day because of the prolonged deficit, but with the drugs involved. But I was running Tren, testosterone, and Winstrol. That's my sort of competition prep stack. The Winstrol towards the end hardens me up. I always run my Tren higher than my test. Do we need testosterone? Not really. I mean, from an aromatization perspective, you could quite easily get on Tren and not worry about it. I crashed my estrogen completely on the last week of show day with like 1 meg of Arimidex just to get rid of extra water. And like, I'm not for sexual function, I'm not worried about that a week from a show. So but that's my go-to sort of my prep is Tren test and an oral.
Sweet. So do you think that the process of coming off a blast and off of a prep allowed you to like fairly easily, because your food's not crazy high at the moment, but to easily like put on weight, but in the cruise phase? So does this, like in my head, like the way it's working in my head, that it's actually benefited you to like to rebound in a cruise and just slowly bring food up almost? It's Definitely, it's like that transitional period between going from a bulk to a cut or a cut to a bulk. There's always that maintenance phase in the middle that's going to reap the most reward. There's no point me coming off an 8-month deficit in Ibiza and going doing your carb intake. It's
just not real. It's not needed. But you can still gain in a cruise. You got to understand, a cruise for us is maybe 250 milligrams of testosterone per week. That's far more than the average person's injected anymore. That's happening to an individual anyway. So you're still going to reap the benefit from a strength perspective and weight. I've gone from 88 to 93 and still got some form of condition. But obviously that's the rebound effect. That's responding well to insulin, responding well to carbs, nutrient timing, peri-workout. But I've been absolutely fine. Got transitioning between both.
For sure. For those of you guys that don't know out there, like me and the man here, we're both coached by the same guy. So we're very under like similar philosophies. Obviously things are slightly different because of individual purposes. But like if you want to run people through like your current macros, like training, like what you're doing.
Yeah, so the training split is very much dedicated to areas that I'm looking to work on. I think I did a video on it on my members site last week, just breaking down the volume per sets, and it seems that we have much more emphasis on legs, delts and arms. Really just trying as best as possible to keep that tight waist and really extend from the upper back and deltoid area and bring the legs up. In terms of macros, my rest day and my training day differentiate quite a bit. So I think I'm on 200 grams of carbs on a rest day, 70 fat and 240 protein. Training day, 10 less fat, a lot more carbohydrates. And generally, I'm like you, I consume a lot of my carbs around that window. So I'll have a relatively big pre-workout, I'll have my intradextrin, then I'll have a fat fuck off post-workout. And then either side, I'm quite content with having a bowl of oats for breakfast, maybe a little lunch, and then dinner might be like some pasta and a meat sauce.
Absolutely. That's the same for me. Like big carbs around the intra-workout. Guys, I talked about in the podcast before, but like maximizing your nutrient intake. Basically the reasoning behind it in very, very layman's terms is like we want to maximize the macronutrient that we want to use at that time. So we just split carbs and fats just because they're both an energy source, just because they both get digested in the same thing. So we just split them so we can use one instead of the other. And that's pretty much it. Just because we have a higher sensitivity around our workout, so pre-intra and post-workout is prioritized. So to put that into perspective, guys, like what was it? Was it 300 on your training days?
375. It's been up.
375. So I'm on 240 protein as well, because we're very, very similar builds, similar muscle masses. And I am on 700 grams of carbs my training days and 400 on my non-training days, guys. So if you can compare that to Tom's, it's like it's completely different. And that's just because of where he stood coming out of a prep. I actually had a question saying, what should I do coming out of prep? Well, you know what Tom's doing, bring things up gradually, slowly bring down cardio and on all that kind of jazz. So I got a very interesting question here. LSD, DMT, mushrooms. What have you tried? What have you done? Have you tried any of those psychedelics?
I haven't. I do want to though. I haven't. I haven't tried LSD. No. What were the other ones?
DMT.
No.
Mushrooms.
No. DMT. my mate's sister went to, where did she go? Was it Bali? And she...
Oh, like an ayahuasca trip?
Yes, that's the one.
Ayahuasca,
that's the one.
yeah.
And she said it was incredible.
Yeah,
she said it was absolutely incredible.
Yeah, so fun fact, I've done all 3. And I've done LSD probably 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
A long fucking ass trip, like 10 or 12 hours. I've had one bad trip, and that was my last one, and I've not done it since. That was a couple of years ago. And so this trip was like... oh fuck it, I'll tell it for the podcast. So this trip, right? So I've done it a few times. Like I know how it feels. Like I've never had anything wrong. Like, something that I've always done is always been super conscious when I take drugs. I know what I'm taking. I know how much I'm taking. I know that the things. So I've never taken too much that I've kind of been sat there like, what's going on? Everything's melting. I don't want to be in that state where everything's like melting. I don't want to put my hand on the table for it to melt through. But I kind of pushed the boundary this one time. So I take like a 250 it's in UG, I can't remember what it's called, Universe or something or other. So anyone who knows LSD and that, I took a 250 tab, and I was with one other friend, which I think you should have a couple friends, cause,
that's very true.
Because one, like, you do get anxious on it, and if I'm feeling anxious and I look at the other guy, he can see I'm anxious, you both get a bit anxious, and then it's just fucking one big ball of anxiety. So the day before I broke up with my girlfriend, so I thought, fuck it, might as well get some acid in. By the way, if those of you guys don't know, acid will make you think about everything in the most detail you possibly can. So I take this thing, and I'm outside, and I see the bricks on the wall, and they just start to like wiggle a little bit. And as soon as I saw them wiggle, I said in my head, I don't want to be in this trip. And if you're saying that at the beginning of a 10-hour trip, like, I was just like, fucked. And from there, it's all mindset. So if you can switch your mindset, you'll be fine. But I just couldn't. I had this little bug in my head saying, you don't want to be in this trip. You don't want to be in this trip. You're going to think about this girl. You're going to think about this girl. So anyway, like, comes about an hour in, and then I think, don't think about it, don't think about it. That's all I'm thinking in my head, don't think about it. And it just goes bang, straight here. And I went on this, like, fucking 8-hour curled up in a fetal position ball, going over every single mistake I ever made with this girl, and I was just hated I just wanted it to be over. Luckily I knew I was in a trip, and I was like, I'm just gonna wait, but it just would not stop coming into my head, and then actually, to get out of it, I dropped a half gram of MDMA.
Yeah, that's the bet. Yeah, of course.
And it took me straight out, so I was absolutely fine after that. But
balance,
that was the last time I did it. DMT as well. That absolutely blew my bollocks off as well. Literally just transported into another dimension. Crazy.
We'll get a session before we start prep.
Yeah, one DMT session. We'll
needs to be
the
done.
whole thing.
Jeez, that would absolutely bang.
It would.
That would bang.
It would, but not on YouTube, because they're fucking cracking down on everything now.
Well, yeah. If you put 2 bodybuilders try DMT, that would boost.
Imagine that. That would be so funny. What do you think about IGTV, by the way?
It's okay, engagement-wise. I get more engagement on my actual stories than I do on IGTV.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, like, it's been a couple of weeks now. I talked about it on the podcast a few weeks ago, and just comparing, like, I feel like almost if you did like a minute video on your page, it would bang more than that did at the moment.
Yeah,
they need to do something to drive more engagement there.
100%. I mean, I'm not putting all my eggs into one basket in terms of this, but I'll get 4,800, and then on posts I'll get sort of 5 to 7k, and then stories will be 7 to 8k. So it's okay. I quite like it. It's another avenue to go down, but
for sure,
it's just they need to.
You just got to play the game while it's here.
Of course.
So, random question. If you weren't doing what you're doing right now, what do you think you'd be doing?
I'll probably still be in the trade, just like doing carpentry or building, or definitely still be in the trade.
Lovely jubbly.
Easy work, easy money.
Nice, man. That is all of my questions.
Perfect.
I appreciate it.
It's good. That's a nice little. Look, 28 minutes. That's banging.
That's it. In and out. You know.
I've been on many a hour and a half podcast and think, what is happening?
Yeah, I've done that as well.
We've covered everything in.
We've covered drugs. We've covered Ibiza. Everything.
This is going to be a very good podcast.
Yeah, I'm going to enjoy the feedback on this one.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Of course, mate. Thank you very much. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. You can find Tom on his member site, which is what, Tmcycles.
Yeah, no, it's just Tmcycles on Instagram, but the actual website is thomasmore.co.uk, and that's going good at the moment, which is good. So yeah,
so that's a member site for those you guys don't know. So you'd literally sign up. It's absolutely nothing. It's was it $5.99?
$5.99, yeah.
Guys, there's absolutely nothing for the information you're going to get on nutrition, training, and if you're into steroids, you need to be on there. Like, you need to be on there for safety, for medicinal purposes, all that kind of stuff. So all of this stuff's going to be in the show notes. Thank you for coming on. Appreciate you guys for listening. Peace, everybody.
Jesus!
Damn.
That big.
Yeah, boy.